How many friends have you made today? Chapter 13, Part 2.
You need not thank me,
Luna says to Rosewater. She then looks to one of the guards.
Please send a guard with Rosewater to the farm. If any pony attempts to make a proclamation in my sister's or my own words, arrest them.
The guards give her a salute.
As you wish, princess.
The mare and guard are about to leave, but Luna speaks out once more.
Also, pay for the trip this poor mare was forced to make. I think it's unfair that she would waste bits for no reason.
The guard gives another nod as he shows the mare out. As soon as the throne room doors close, Luna allows herself to relax. Celestia smiles at her sister as she wraps her wings around her.
You did great, sister,
she says, and Luna gives a nod.
I must say that I was a little worried there.
Anon chuckles as he pats her on the back. I'm no expert on this court stuff, but I think you did well. Celestia lets go of her sister as Luna uses her left wing to pull him to her chest.
I thank you for being the cause as well as being by my side.
No problem. Anon's voice muffles past her fur, seeing as his face is buried in her barrel.
We still have a few more subjects before day court is over, sister.
Celestia gets Luna's attention.
Of course.
Luna lets go of Anon.
Bring in the next subject.
Luna lets out a large sigh as she snuggles up next to Anon.
I forgot how taxing it can be to talk with our subjects. You did very well for yourself, sister.
Celestia comes in, as she too snuggles up to Anon. That's kind of odd, actually. It seems like every court they have somehow leads to them falling onto some kind of bed exhausted. This time being no exception either, and Anon doesn't mind it at all. He kind of finds himself becoming less resistant to the two's show of affection. He just wraps each arm around a princess and pulls them closer. Yeah, you did amazing, Luna. I know I would have thrown that noble out of a window if he said that kind of stuff to me, Anon said. Celestia winced at that. She remembered how that noble came in like he owned the place. Once he noticed that Luna sat upon the throne and not Celestia, he probably thought that he could manipulate her easily for his gains. However, Luna has a very sharp mind. She could pick up on his smooth talking and misdirections. When the noble took notice that she was more stubborn than Celestia, he then tried to ignore her and talk to Celestia, who sat beside her. However, once Luna brought her candlelight voice out, that definitely set the noble in his place. Anon has to admit that he laughed at the stallion that shook in place after getting blasted by that shout. The noble just ran away with his tail between his legs. Celestia has a feeling that he won't be showing up in court ever again. That was the only pony Luna actually needed to deal with harshly. The rest of them were hesitant, but overall, accepting of Luna. Yeah, it was a rather pleasant morning, yet the day was not over just yet. Well, we should probably get ready for the thing, Anon says. The two sisters let out sad sighs over having to move, but remembered that they were going to a show with their friend. All three of them rise from the bed and stretch a few kinks out. I'm gonna head in my room and change. The clothes are still there, right? He looks to Celestia, and she nods.
Check the drawers.
Anon gives her a nod. So, where do we meet?
Just out front near the gates. I'll be sure that we take a carriage.
With everything settled, the three of them headed off to get dressed. Or, well, only Anon, actually. The two sisters are just gonna head to the front of the castle and wait for him. Wow, Anon says as he looks up to the Colosseum before him. How in the hell is Candlelight this big? Celestia giggled at his slack-jawed face.
Magic can do wondrous things, Anon.
She answers, and he rolls his eyes. Of course. Say it's science, and you have to explain everything. Say it's magic, don't gotta explain shit. He mutters darkly.
Oh, cheer up, friends. We're here to watch ponies fight to the death.
Luna says with glee. Celestia reels back in shock as a few ponies standing around do as well. She quickly walks over to her sister's side.
Luna, this isn't that kind of place. I banned that practice centuries ago.
She whispers. Luna looks shocked.
Then, pray tell, why are we at the Colosseum? This is where the Wonderbolts perform.
Celestia answers. Luna looks to her sister confused.
Weren't the Wonderbolts a group of elite soldiers founded by the Pegasi? A group so exclusive that a competition was held every few years wherein a few chosen would be battling to the death for a position?
Celestia face-offs.
Yes, just not anymore, sister. They're simply a flying team now.
After the last screw-up with a rampaging dragon in Ponyville, Celestia made sure that they stayed a flying team.
They just do tricks, stunts, and racing.
Anon shakes his head. Damn, these ponies are more human than I thought.
What was that?
Celestia turns to him, and he shrugs. Humans used to have stuff like that. We called our people gladiators. They used to fight to the death to entertain the king and queen of that era. Just more similarities from our two worlds. Celestia clears her throat.
Yes, well, we stopped that practice for a very long time.
She looks to Luna.
Sorry, sister, but you will have to find merriment in the events that are planned.
Luna lets out a sad sigh. She was hoping to get that thrill that she usually got when watching two Pegasi tear each other apart. A feeling that she used to feel when she stepped hoof out onto the battlefield, though she can understand why her sister banned it. It's just that so much has changed for her and she hoped that at least something would remain the same. She feels her thoughts die as Anon rests his hand on her withers. She looks up at him as he gives her a smile. That's something that's starting to become less rare, it seems, and she feels her spirits lift as she looks at him. "Wanna hear how human gladiator matches used to go?" Anon asks, and Luna feels herself cheer up some. To have common ground with someone else makes her feel less lonely on the subject.
I would appreciate that.
She agreed. And then after that, he turned to the crowd and shouted, "Are you not entertained?" Anon strikes a pose, his arms open wide to the invisible audience. Luna claps her hoofs together with a large smile on her muzzle.
This gladiator sounds like an elite fighter.
Anon falls back into his seat. "I don't think he was ever real, Luna. It was just a story that was told." The three of them got to the royal seats a while ago. The Pegasi were still setting things up, so they just waited patiently. Celestia tried to busy herself with other things, like preparing food and snacks for the long show. Yet as Anon started to tell his story, she found herself drifting closer to him to hear. She hates to admit it, but she does have a small yearning for the old days, where ponies were more independent and less childlike. Now, while Celestia doesn't expect herself to reinstate beheadings or implement death matches into the Wonderbolt games, she does think that she may need to stop being so motherly to her ponies. They need to toughen up a bit. She will admit that most of the Morning Core problems were trivial, things they could handle on their own, yet they expect her to do them.
What happens next?
Luna asks Anon excitedly. Alright, so the trumpet sound is heard throughout the air.
Oh, it seems your story must wait for the time being.
Celestia says as she points a hoof out towards the field.
The show's about to start.
Anon looks from Celestia back to Luna. I'll tell you later. Luna gives him a nod as she looks towards the field.
Let us see what merriment we gain from such shows.
Luna says skeptically. Anon is also rather curious as to what these kinds of shows are about. He just sits patiently as he notices 4 Pegasi line up on what looks to be a stretched out cloud. An assortment of rings are placed around the sky. Celestia looks over and notices the confusion on both her sister's and Anon's face.
This is the precision race. Each Pegasus must fly through all the hoops and get to the finish line.
Anon gives a nod but doesn't say anything. Luna just continues to look at the rings. If only one pony can go through them at a time, then that would signify a battle of speed to whoever got there first. While the idea isn't as exciting as how things used to be, she can feel a little something bubbling inside of her. "Every pony on your marks!" An announcer is heard. "Get set, go!" Anon watches as these Pegasi throw their wings back, a large blast of air lifting from them in a fraction of a second. He feels his eyes widen as he watches their takeoff. At their speed, they practically mold into a single pony as they rush through the first hoop. Anon could only try and keep his eye on a blur or two. Each hoop was set at an angle that made the turn seem impossible at their speed. As the contest continued, he noticed a yellow blur taking the lead. Every turn gave this pony a few more inches, and then a few more feet. It got to the point where this pony had the lead. And at no point did they slow down either. It isn't until the yellow one lands on the finish line that Anon finally manages to get a good look at her. And he'll also admit that those suits look kinda cool. A fraction of a second later, the other contestants landed next to her, panting a bit. However, the yellow one doesn't seem phased at all. She just gives a smile and waves to the roaring crowd. Holy crap. Anon whispers. He'd never seen something move so fast. Celestia smiles at Anon's reaction. Luna seems to be in a state of awe as well.
Not so bad, huh?
Anon gives a nod. Not so bad at all. The rest of the events left Anon completely blown away. He'd never seen organic creatures do what he'd seen in that show. The control, the speed, the grace. Those ponies were like a mix between NASCAR and the Ringling Brothers. Anon knows about aerial feats from his world, but they couldn't even compare. Sure, there's the difference between one's body and a machine, but still, what Anon has seen was something that he will remember forever. Did you see when that yellow one flew through the ring, grabbed it with her teeth, and then did a few spins before landing with a backflip? Anon says, and Celestia giggles a bit.
Yes, she is very talented. It's the reason that she's the leader of the Wonderbolts.
Can I get her autograph? Ponies do that, right? Anon asks, and Celestia gives him a nod.
Follow me to the signing area.
Luna will admit that while she wasn't as excited as her friend, she did actually appreciate what she saw. Those ponies indeed do hold a lot of talent. But still, she thinks a few bloodied and bruised ponies would have been better. They soon entered into the signing area. A few tables where each flyer in the show sat. The lines were very, very long as well. Damn, looks like we're gonna have to wait. Anon whispers.
Nonsense. You like the yellow one, correct?
Celestia asks. He gives her a nod as she walks towards the one in question. At least being a princess means that she doesn't need to wait in line. All the ponies bowed before her, none showing anger at her cutting in line. In fact, they looked ecstatic to be as close as they were to the princess. Now, the three of them stood before a table, a yellowish Pegasus mare with a two-tone fiery mane sitting behind it. I honestly didn't think Anon would be so hyped up. But it's nice to see that he liked the show that much, and it's probably better that way instead of just shrugging it off like it's nothing. Now let's get on to our lightning fast donators. Top donators: TacoCat598, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, Gauntlet, and Only One Thing. Zar630, Strix, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Drake Love Dragon, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Chrissy Color 557, Stu Hex, Will, Daspo, Madman Stan, Delta Omega, Jack Cadge, RuneScythe 9852, Leslie Prickett, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, LineGod12, and many more fabulous people. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.